Hi everyone, welcome back to the USCPA classes for financial accounting and reporting. In this particular video, I'll be walking you through in detail about foreign currency transaction and translation. This is part 1. We have one more part which will be finishing this topic, and in this video, I'll be covering in detail about overview of the foreign currency transaction and translation, all the definitions and the foreign currency transaction. So we have part 2 as well, which will be coming just after this. So to complete the foreign currency translation and transaction, please go through both the parts. So let's dive into part 1 of financial currency transaction and translation.
And then after we'll be jumping into the investment. So investment would be slightly bigger topic, and that will be understanding debt security, equity method investment, and some miscellaneous topic. So first, let's jump into the foreign currency transaction and translation. This is more or less in continuation of what we have studied in last class. If you see, I'll show you in the book as well really quick. So if you see, it will go in continuation of this. So, like derivative and hedge accounting, which we have studied in last class. So this topic we are covering now. Right? So this is more or less in continuation of derivative and hedge accounting. Certain concept you'll see like very similar to that in it. So let's start with the first one. In this, we'll be studying 5 things. First one is like overview and definition, which we will be using in foreign currency transaction and translation. Then after, we'll be understanding what are foreign currency transaction. Then we'll be understanding what are foreign currency financial instrument, which we have like studied in the hedge accounting also. It's very much similar. So I will not go much in detail because in detail we have already covered in hedge accounting. Then foreign currency hedge transaction, that also we have covered in detail. And the last one is transaction of the foreign currency financial statement. So that also we have covered in the earlier class, but high level, this as it covering the topic, we'll be taking up all these things one by one. So first one is like overview and definition. What comes in the foreign currency transaction and what comes in the foreign currency translation? What all important terms for which you should be aware of? The first one is exchange rate. What is exchange rate? Any idea? What is exchange rate?
Sir, the one currency got exchanged from another currency at a particular point.
So what is exchange rate of dollar to INR?
Sir, I guess it's 82.4.
Yeah. So that is called exchange rate. Very simple. Any amount at which one currency exchange for the another currency at a particular point of time in the open market, or you can say in the general market, which is being available. Like we all know, like dollar to INR is around 82 rupees. Same way, if you see like different currency, we have different exchange rates. Second point is spot rate. Do you know what is spot rate? Any idea? Have you heard this term before? Spot rate? Ayush, Rahul, Gurmeher.
सर पढ़ा तो है MBA में spot rate.
क्या सर मिस हो गया मेरे से क्या?
Do you know what is spot rate?
Spot rate.
Have you heard this term before?
सुना है spot rate.
Santrupti, Rahul, Ayush, have you heard spot rate? What is spot rate? Any idea?
Hi, sir. Sir, spot rate is basically the rate at which, which is the current market rate for
Exactly.
buying and selling of foreign currency.
Yeah, spot rate is rate right now. Like today when you're buying or selling any commodity or any currency, what is the rate for today exchange? So that is called spot rate. If you see like every day the gold rate, silver rate, or different commodity rate get changed, right? So that individual date rate at a particular time, what is the price of exchanging that particular good and service is called spot rate. Have you heard the term forward rate?
Yes, sir. Forward rate is the rate which we agree with the bank for our future transactions.
Yeah. So forward rate is basically the rate which you agree with the bank, financial institution, or with your customer or with your vendor to be paid or payable, received or receivable. Sorry, to payable or receivable in future, not paid or not received. Payable
Correct.
or receivable in future to exchange the particular product or services or commodity or currency.
Yes.
That is called forward rate. What is forward rate? Future rate, basically.
Yeah. Correct.
Kashish, Rahul, Gurmeher, make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Agreed rate for a specific future date. That means, for example, today, let's assume the exchange rate of US dollar to INR is 82 rupees per dollar. So me and Kashish have agreed that Kashish has given me an Apple Mac Pro book of which has, like, let's assume $1,500. So I said I'll pay you at the rate of 83 rupees per dollar in after 60 days. Right? So today Kashish has purchased, but I'll be paying him back after 60 days at the rate of 83 rupees per dollar. So that means we agreed at a future date, at a specific future date, like at this exchange rate, we'll be doing the transaction or doing the payment. Right? Make sense?
Future contract.
Gurmeher?
This is a kind of future contract, right?
Yes. Forward contract, future contract is more or less same.
I was reading the notes because last class तो मैं attend नहीं कर पाया. I guess मेरी
last class
recording
has not happened. Yesterday
नहीं
we
कल वाली नहीं last week वाली.
last week, okay.
मैं था नहीं.
Yeah. So in that
तो
also we
मैं
discussed like hedge accounting.
हाँ वो थोड़ा complicated topic है. I guess मुझे recording लेनी पड़ेगी. मैं notes इतना समझ नहीं आ रहा था.
Take that recording. It's, I think, already uploaded. So you can
Okay.
take that recording.
No problem.
Right. Next one is forward exchange contract. A contract to buy and sell currency at a forward rate. So forward rate, like that's a future contract. Same way, for example, Kashish is, let's assume, is in US, and I ask Kashish to purchase an Mac Pro book for me. So Kashish says it is at $1,500. So we agreed, like after 60 days, I'll pay Kashish 83 rupees per dollar, and Kashish will be delivering that Mac Pro book to me after 60 days. So that is called forward exchange contract or a future contract, in which, like, both receipt of money and delivery of product would be in the future. A contract to buy and sell currency at the forward rate. For example, Kashish has a loan of, let's say, 100,000 rupees in India, and I have some vendor to pay $1,500 in USA. So we both can agree that, Kashish, you can pay $1,500 to my vendor, and I'll pay 100,000 rupees to your Indian banker after 60 days. Right? So that is also a contract to buy and sell the currency at the future date. That's called forward exchange contract. Make sense? Yeah. Santrupti, Rahul?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Kashish? Next one is functional currency. I think this we have discussed earlier also when we were discussing about hyperinflationary economy. You know what is functional currency? Do you remember that?
Yes, so the functional currency is a currency in which we are, in which a company operates or a country operates, maybe,
In which?
in which we deal like regularly.
Yeah, Rahul, Gurmeher.
The functional currency in which the entity is basically operating, unki currency basically. Unki main currency. Like if the country is in Canada, like a company is in Canada, Canada based है, तो उनकी जो functional currency है, they are using CAD, Canadian dollar. जो उनका functional currency Canadian dollar में हो गई. अगर कोई उनका ट्रेड है जो USD में भी डील करता है, बट उनका फिर भी फंक्शनल करेंसी वो CAD ही ट्रीट करेंगे.
सर इसमें क्या होता है, मेजर ऑफ द ट्रांजेक्शंस आर टेकिंग प्लेस इन द पर्टिकुलर करेंसी.
Yes. The
Okay.
more importantly, majority of the transactions are taking place in which currency. If they are doing all the sales to the foreign country and all the sales are in US dollar, let's assume, and they are doing all the purchases through import, and that's also in US dollar, and they are paying most of the salaries in US dollar, then even though they are operating in Canada or they are operating in Australia, they are operating in Russia, or they are operating from India, so their functional currency would be
USD.
US dollar,
USD.
right? The currency of primary economic environment in which the entity operate, therefore generate and expend the cash. So these are like few definitions which we need to understand for the foreign currency transaction and translation. So first one is now foreign currency transaction. Transaction is a currency other than functional currency. For example, sales, purchase of product or service. Then you need to recognize the gain or loss of exchange in FX rate. That will go into the income statement and record the translation. Record the transaction at the current rate, at the balance sheet date, adjustment of payable and receivable to the balance sheet date exchange rate. So let's understand one by one what it says. Let me open an Excel sheet for you. So let's take an example. This is your date. This is transactions, and this is amount. Let's assume on 1st January 21. This is in 22. Company A purchased. What you would love to purchase? Laptops, 100 MacBooks, currency amount. Company A purchased MacBook Pro on company B. Let's assume this is the transaction. Let's say currency in USD and unit is 100 and which is, let's say 500. How much is the amount? And this is amount is payable in 60 days, right? So transaction is a currency other than functional currency. Let's assume company A, say we are in purchase MacBook Pro B. Yes, right. Recognize the gain and loss on exchange statement. Record the transaction at the current rate. Balance sheet date, make the adjustment. Okay, so let's assume this is payable in 120 days. And company A year end March 31st, 2022. Right? Is that facts appropriate? Comfortable? Have you understood like the facts?
Yes, sir.
So now on 1st January 2022, books of company A. What will be the journal entry? What will be the journal entry?
Assets to payable.
Assets
Debit to pay, payable. Accounts payable.
To company B, basically.
company B. How much? So let's assume the exchange rate. Exchange rate on, you might be needing for 3 days. For January, and then you would be needing 31st 3, and then you will be needing 30th 4th 22. Right, these are the three dates which will be needing exchange rate. Let's assume 80, 82, 84. Right? So how much is this multiplied by 80? So this will be the debit and credit, right? Yes, no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Purchase of Pro at what rate? Current rate or spot rate? Right? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Now on 31st March, does company need to do any journal entry? Is
No.
company required to book any journal entry?
No, sir.
Why no?
क्योंकि सर वी हैव ऑलरेडी डिसाइडेड ना कि हम इस रेट को ये करेंगे इन एडवांस में कर लिया था ना सर हमने तो
What we have discussed in advance?
I guess डिस्कस तो नहीं हुआ था ना, कोई रेट फिक्स थोड़ी किया था. आई गेस लाइबिलिटी इंक्रीज करेंगे हम लोग क्योंकि रेट चेंज हुआ है. We'll do some foreign exchange
सर इसका जो
adjustment.
डिफरेंस अमाउंट है जो फर्स्ट को था जो 31st को था जो डिफरेंस है वो सर इनकम स्टेटमेंट में मेंशन करेंगे.
Which one?
तो 31st March and 1st of Jan वाला. That will go into income statement.
This one?
Yes, sir.
Do we need to make any journal entry for this?
पेमेंट एंट्री करेंगे ना.
सर टोटल अमाउंट से थोड़ी मल्टीप्लाई होगा.
One by one. Gurmeer, you are saying something?
मैं देख रहा हूँ आपने डिफरेंस को टोटल अमाउंट से मल्टीप्लाई किया. 82 का डिफरेंस है, आपने 150,000 से मल्टीप्लाई किया ना?
अरे वो तो टोटल से ही होगा वो तो, क्योंकि डिफरेंस इतना है ना तो।
एक्सचेंज रेट डिफरेंस, दिस इज अ डिफरेंस।
डिफरेंस है क्योंकि पहला एक अमाउंट तो रिकॉर्ड हो ही चुका है ऑलरेडी। जो
Hmm.
डिफरेंस है 2 रुपए का, वो रिकॉर्ड कर लिया। 3 लाख का एडिशनल जो अमाउंट होगा।
But what will be the journal entry for that?
सर इसमें तो पे हो जाएगा ना, कंपनी बी टू बैंक हो जाएगा, क्योंकि वी हैड ऑलरेडी डिसाइडेड इट वुड बी फॉर अ पीरियड ऑफ 120 डेज। 1 जनवरी को वी एंटर्ड इनटू ट्रांजैक्शन, वी आर एट 31 मार्च, इट्स ऑल।
Hmm.
अच्छा सॉरी, 120 डेज है, आई
Hmm.
गॉट इट रॉन्ग। So
Hmm.
we'll book the difference amount now.
Hmm. What will be the journal entry?
Journal entry would be foreign. Let me think.
First of all, do we need to make this journal entry?
Yes, sir, because we maybe need to account for कि हमें कितना difference pay करना है, तो उसके लिए we have to account for in the books.
ये सर करना तो पड़ेगा। तो इनकम स्टेटमेंट डेबिट टू
Would be some reserve foreign exchange difference account debit हो जाएगा maybe, which will hit our P&L, and we will increase that amount to company B, उसमें से कि इतना amount pay करना पड़ेगा।
Yeah. Rahul, संतृप्ति, आकाश,
यही लग रहा है।
क्या? What?
So basically foreign exchange adjustments to company B with the 3 lakh amount.
Affects loss to company B.
Correct.
Is it right?
Yes, sir. Sir, we cannot say it is forex loss because we lost one. We should not. Should we not book it in a as a intermediary account जिसमें कुछ transactions कर पाए हम?
No. You need to book in Excel account.
Okay.
You have to book this loss in the P&L. Because like you'll in future you are expecting that you'll be paying more than what is supposed to be payable.
Right. Okay.
Now on 30th of April, when you are actually settling the transaction, what will be the debit and what will be the credit?
सर बचा हुआ फॉरेक्स लॉस भी डेबिट होगा और कंपनी बी को पेमेंट होनी है, तो कंपनी बी डेबिट टू बैंक हो जाएगा विद द नॉर्मल अमाउंट, एंड विल book the difference in the P&L as extra loss over and above for 4,50,000 rupees.
Rahul, Gurmehar, Akash.
So company B will be debit, then FX loss will be debit by 450,000, and to cash by 17,000. Sorry, 1.7 million.
But first you need to book this loss.
Okay.
Right, and now in company B account, what is the total credit?
Okay.
What is the total credit? 1275. Right, this much is payable to company B.
Yes.
True. Right, this much you will be paying to company B.
ठीक है सर।
Everyone?
Yes sir.
Yes, sir.
Kashish?
yes sir।
सर इसमें हमने एक एग्जांपल उठाया एक वेंडर का, ऐसी कंपनी के एन नंबर ऑफ वेंडर्स हो सकते हैं
yes, yes.
एंड देन इतनी सारी ट्रांजैक्शंस हो सकती है, तो हम कंसोलिडेटेड एंट्री पास करते हैं बैच बना के या
No,
कैसे?
individual.
हर
Because
हर
like
वेंडर के
company,
अकाउंट में हम इफेक्ट करेंगे?
yes, every vendor account is an unique account. Yes, very good point. Very good point. Every vendor account you need to do the adjustment.
सर इसमें ट्रांजैक्शन में कौन सा मतलब दिया था?
Say that again.
like in this transaction, what was the base of exchange rate, like spot rate or forward rate?
This is like 80 is a spot rate and 85 is a like future rate when actual settlement need to be made. But this 31st December is your closing date, year-end
Okay.
closing date. So you need to make an adjustment on that day.
Yes.
I'll put this as an example in the notes.
यस सर ये डाल
सर
दो
विद एंट्री ही डाल दो।
wait. That's what I'm doing. Maybe I can add one more page here. You can see this as illustration.
सर ये फिर दोबारा भेज दोगे ये वाले नोट?
I'll send.
सर ये ईयर एंड पे लॉस रिकॉर्ड करना कंपल्सन है या फिर?
Gain or loss, whatever it will be. Yes. Whether it's gain or loss, it is mandatory to record.
बट इन केस सर जैसे एक वेंडर है लाइक फेडेक्स ट्रेड नेटवर्क्स, तो फॉर एग्जांपल उन्होंने इनवॉइस जनरेट किया एंड इनवॉइस डेट पे जो एक्सचेंज रेट था वही उन्होंने कंसीडर किया। देन आफ्टर 30 days, let's say they created invoice on 1st of March and the invoice is getting due on 30th April for example, तो उस केस में मतलब सर वो मतलब हम कोई मतलब वो ट्रांजैक्शन मतलब कोई जनरल एंट्री रिकॉर्ड नहीं करते ईयर एंड के लिए?
Just one second. Let me finish this and then we'll discuss. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so is it clear to everyone as of now? Is it comfortable?
सर एक बार लास्ट वाला बता दे, वो लास्ट वाली जो एंट्री कंपनी बी टू कैश 1275 वाली।
No, this is final payment. Yashish?
ओके
This
सर
is
ये अमाउंट कहाँ से आया? अच्छा प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस।
no, this is like in total of this $12 million plus 300,000, 450,000. Total will be $12,750,000.
गॉट इट।
सर इसमें अगर हमने कॉन्ट्रैक्ट किया होता रेट का तो फिर हम कोई लॉस ना रिकॉग्नाइज करते, राइट?
सर अगर हमने फ्यूचर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करा होता साइन तो फिर थोड़ी ना होता ये चीज।
No, so we'll come to that also. So first let me take like Rahul was having one question. What was your question, Rahul? One by one we'll go.
Yes. So sir, there is one vendor FedEx Trade Network. So they are generating an invoice at Canada dollar, and they are considering the exchange rate as on the date of invoice date. ठीक है, अभी मतलब जैसे उन्होंने इनवॉइस जनरेट किया 1 मार्च को, तो उन्होंने मतलब जो भी रेट लिया उसके बेसिस पे उन्होंने इनवॉइस बना के हमको बता दिया, और लाइक वी आर रिकॉर्डिंग दैट इनवॉइस अकॉर्डिंगली। और जब फॉर एग्जांपल 30 अप्रैल को उसका जो पेमेंट होता है, तो हम वही मतलब जो एक्चुअल में जो इनवॉइस जो दिखा रहा है वही हम पे करते हैं। एंड उसमें
so 2 reasons to it, Rahul. One is like FedEx is an Indian vendor to whom you are making the payment. You might not be making the payment to the FedEx Canada or FedEx US. So what FedEx will be doing, like for example, you have certain couriers to send to the US, or certain couriers you have to send to the Canada, right? So they have like FedEx Canada, let's assume. So they check the rate of FedEx Canada and then converted that rate into the current date price and give it that invoice to you. So internally they may have certain settlement, but to you it is agreed that you will be paying in INR for that particular rate. So in that case of scenario, you are not impacted with the exchange rate because you are getting the billing from Indian company in Indian currency only.
ओके, मतलब यस मतलब इनवॉइस में लाइक CAD एंड USD दोनों मेंशन होता है, तो आई थिंक यस आई अंडरस्टूड सर। यस
but maybe at the back end they have an arrangement with the Canadian FedEx company, so that will be their internal, but to you they might be billing you in INR but based on the Canadian rate on that particular date. Same way, for example, like petroleum price also, if you see in international market, it has always been US dollar, right? For example, if you are a Bharat Petroleum or HP or maybe like Mobil or any such petroleum company, and you purchase in the international market from the local company, right? So that local company will take the international market prices as a base, and then they will do their plus and minus and calculate, like the basis of invoice is maybe like that market rate, but the invoice they are generating to you in your local currency. So in that case of scenario, FX exchange rate impact will not be applicable to you.
Okay, sir, understood.
Gurmeher, what was your question?
सर इन केस अगर हमने कॉन्ट्रैक्ट किया होता रेट पे फ्यूचर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, तो फिर तो हम कोई लॉस नहीं रिकॉग्नाइज करेंगे ना, अगर रेट पहले
No,
फिक्स
for
कर दिया
example, like let's continue this example. Let's assume you have hedged this transaction to 83 rupees per dollar, right? So you have entered into a hedging transaction with the bank that after 120 days, give me $150,000 at the rate of 83 rupees per dollar, right? So market price after 120 days is 85, and you have the hedge transaction at 83. So that means you will be availing the benefit of hedge transaction, right? Yes, no?
Yes,
so in that case of scenario, what you will be doing? So let's take this example here, and here you have done hedge payment on this date at ED3. So this is, let's say, another information in the question, and you have paid hedge premium, you have paid, let's assume 50,000. Right now, what will happen in this situation? Let's copy the solution also, and we'll make certain adjustment on need basis. So first thing is like purchase of asset would be same. But here there would be one more entry, which will be hedge premium to bank. How much? 50,000. Right, Gurmeer? Yes, no?
Yes sir, but मैं सर
Yes,
शायद
sir.
एक स्टेप पीछे अगर हम जा सके तो
Mhm.
ये हम बैंक को क्यों इन्वॉल्व कर रहे हैं? मतलब आई नो कि
No,
बैंक
from where you will
हमें
take hedge? You will hedge from the bank only, na?
सो
Exchange
बैंक
rate hedge.
कवर कैसे करता है बेसिकली उसको? लाइक मैंने बी
Uh-huh.
को पेमेंट करनी है,
Uh-huh.
राइट?
So you
तो मैं
will
बी
go to the bank. You will go to the bank that after 120 day, I need to make a payment of $150 to company B, right?
तो
So
मैं उतना
then,
मैं 83 के
then bank
अकॉर्डिंग
will.
करूँगा, जो
Mhm.
डिफरेंस होगा वो बैंक देगा उसको बेसिकली।
No, no, no. I'm coming to that. Like how this generally arrangement to happen. Like bank had wider, you can say, portfolio. So bank earn money on anything and everything in each transaction. So maybe from India, right? So maybe let's say Gurmehar went to the bank. That bank, I need $150,000 after 150 day, and I wanted to hedge this transaction. So after 120 day, at what price you'll be comfortable giving me $150,000, right? On the other hand, let's say Rahul is there, Kashish is there, Akash is there. Let's assume Akash went to the bank that I have $150,000 receivable from US company to India after 150 day. What will be the rate you will give me, exchange rate, if I hedge that transaction, right? So same way, like banker may have receivable, like normally if you see what bank do, they take savings from you and they lend the money to people like us who do businesses. Same way here also, they take both the kind of transaction like US dollar to INR and INR to US dollar. So you are being like in the paying situation, from you will be ready to pay INR in exchange of USD. But other side, there may be person like Akash, there may be person like Kashish who wants to sell US dollar and wants to buy INR. For example, I have a foreign currency remittance. Let's say I have given any professional consultancy to US company and I am expecting $150,000 would be coming after 120 days. So I'll go to the bank after 120 days. I'm expecting this much money. What is the best rate you will give it to me? Right? So bank one side may have US dollar and another side may have INR. That's a normal. That is what banking is all about.
Okay.
Now you went to the bank and bank have projected best based on the contract it has in hand and the US dollar it has in hand and the expected exchange rate change, right? And then bank says after 120 day, I'm comfortable giving you at 83 rupees per dollar, but you need to pay 50,000 rupees as a hedge premium. So bank has immediate earned 50,000 rupees, right? And then
Yes sir.
Akash went and he said, I'm expecting $150,000 after 120 days. So bank says, okay, I'll pay you $80, 82 rupees 80 paisa. So 20 paisa per dollar, there also bank has earned. As today price is 80, so Akash might be comfortable having 82 rupees 80 paisa. Are you getting my point?
So bank will charge Akash as well.
Yes.
Right.
Same way, like when you do like fixed deposit, how much bank pay you? 4%, 5%,
4%,
6%,
5%.
right?
Yes.
When people like us go for a loan, they give us 12% to 18%.
Right.
That's what the banking is all about, no? So in that they have to manage their overhead expenses, employee costs, and they also need to earn money. Right? Make sense?
Yes sir. Yeah.
So here, like bank got 50,000 rupees, and then after the 31st March would be the same entry, but here you will be paying how much? 83. That means 150,000. Your loss will be restrict to how much? What will be the total expense?
सर इसमें एक और चीज बताओ, लाइक इसमें मतलब बी की गलती है, हमने हेज करा लिया ट्रांजैक्शन, तो बी तो एंटाइटल्ड फिर भी 85 के अकॉर्डिंग होना चाहिए ना, तो जो 2 का डिफरेंस है वो
No,
बैंक
B
पूरा
has
करेगा ना
nothing to
उसके
do.
लिए।
B has nothing to do with INR. No, B need only $150,000.
ओके
So B has nothing to do with INR. B like US में INR लेके करोगे क्या तुम? You won't be able to do any transaction, ना?
ओके ओके, हाँ मुझे बैंक दे देगा यूएसडी
So B has
83
just
में,
B just
राइट।
need $150,000, nothing else.
ठीक है।
So this is like your book, company A books of accounts. Right? If you go to the company B books of account, it will be 150,000 sale and collection of $150,000. That's it. Right? So far so good.
Plus B would also be paying some premium, correct? To bank.
No,
That
why
will
will
also
B
take
pay premium?
because bank is giving him as well, $150,000. So
No. Like company B has entered into an agreement. For example, like let's say Apple. So you entered into an agreement with Apple that I'll purchase 100 Apple Mac Pro. Right? So Apple is ready. Normally, if they're selling at let's say $2,000, they're ready to give you at $1,500 each because of the bulk deal. But they need $150,000. That's what their interest is. They have nothing to do from where you are arranging the money. So that's your responsibility and your headache. Right? Their contract would be very much clear, $150,000. Okay. So now look at the second point. Transaction is a currency other than functional currency, that is called foreign currency transaction. It may be sales, purchase of product or services. Then recognize the gain or loss of change in FX rate in income statement. This is what we did. All the gain or loss we have recognized in income statement. Right? Third thing is record the transaction at current rate. So first time you have recorded the transaction at current rate.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Then after at the balance sheet date, adjust the payable and receivable to balance sheet date exchange rate. Right? So what we did on the balance sheet date, we have adjusted the receivable and payable. Right? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Kashish, Gurmeher, Santrupti?
सर बैलेंस
Yes,
शीट दे तो 31 मार्च होगी ना सर?
So 31st March we have adjusted the exchange rate.
Yes, sir.
And we book the loss in the income statement, or if there will be a gain, that also go to the income statement. That is what it's saying at the balance sheet date, sir. At the balance sheet date, adjust the receivable and payable on the date, balance sheet date exchange rate. Right? Balance sheet date exchange rate is 82. Right?
Yes, sir.
So you have made this adjustment entry. So now your payable is this much. Right? what is this much? 12 million plus $300,000. If you divide by 150,000, so it is 82 rupees per dollar, right? Kashish?
Yes, sir, got it.
Gurmehar? Akash?
Yes, sir.
Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Next is explain impact fair value hedge, cash flow hedge, net investment in foreign currency in entity. So next example, when we do the hedging, right? So how to do the treatment of the hedging. So first, this hedge premium will go to the expenses. And then lastly, the total payment would be this much. It cannot go beyond this, right? And any exchange gain or loss will go to the income statement, or any hedging gain or loss will also go to the income statement, right? Then after, hedge accounting will be used only when the financial instrument meet the hedge criteria, which we have studied in last class, like appropriate documentation should be there, and so on and so forth, which we have studied in last class. If all those criteria are met, then only you can do the hedging accounting, right? So any doubt on second point, foreign currency transaction? So far so good?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.